On page 88, Rabbi Avraham ben Arambam yesterday was telling us that many of the mitzvot that you think are there not to hurt other people are really there to protect you from doing the damage of becoming angry or of losing your calm. On page 88, Rabbi Avraham says, "Ve'od mitzvot yesh lahem shaychut al hakas." There are other commandments aside from the ones which we mentioned that are related to anger as well. Benim gorem hu la'adam la'avor alehen. Whether it's because maybe we are angry and will cause others to violate them, or whether those commandments are there to protect us from getting angry. It's enough for us to say the sin of cursing Hashem is rooted in anger. You've seen the English's little triangle?
Mm-hmm.
That means he's referring to an earlier part of his work which we don't have. It's been lost to the Jewish people. So Hashem, one day, Eliyahu Navi will come and Rabbi Avraham will teach us the rest of what we've lost. וידוע לך מה שהתאימה התורה בעניין אריכות אפיים וסלחנות. And you're aware, obviously, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says about being calm and about forgiveness. במאמרו יתעלה, what Hashem says, כי תראה חמור שונאך רובץ תחת משאו. If you see a donkey of your friend that is struggling under its burden, וחדלת מעזוב לו, עזוב, תעזוב עמו. Will you refrain from helping him? Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. עזוב, תעזוב. You surely must go and help him. וביאר המתרגם פירוש זה, אונקולוס, who he calls המתרגם, the translator, he explains us the following. What does it mean, עזוב, תעזוב עמו? Literally, עזוב doesn't mean to help. עזוב means leave him. Leave him go. Maybe you read the Torah saying, get rid of him, forget about him, let a donkey fall. Rather, says Onkelos, Mishbak tishbok ma debiribach, alohi utfarek imen. Shvok, we say this in Aramaic, we say during Slichot. Shvok lechovin u'la'avayan. Hashem, get rid of our guilt and all of our averot.
Is that like in the Haggadah?
We say that in Slichot. In the Haggadah, do we say Shvok? No, that's Shvok. This is Shvok. Shin bet vav kuf. Which means to get rid of. We're saying get rid of the feelings in your heart, says Uncle, and help it. Right now, it's not a time to be petty. Right now is the time to help each other out.
Why they're bringing a donkey as an example? The other story same type. When the two guys are going, the one guy is sitting on the donkey, other guy says, "You have brought me a donkey. Take care of it."
Well, this story seems to be a more common. There's no one's life is in danger here.
Carry them on the shoulder.
On the shoulder.
It fell down into the river.
But here in this story, nobody's life is in danger. I think the story here, the Torah is giving you an example of, don't be so petty. Yeah, I know you're fighting with each other. I know you have, but right now someone needs your help. It's not. Hashem put you in their path right now at this point to be able to be that person who can help. And the person who wouldn't is an angry person, a person who can't overcome their anger even for another cause. I'll tell you when we had such an example. In Israel, in the last elections, I don't speak American politics.
No.
I don't.
No.
Israeli politics, it's my country. In Israel, you had a terrible thing happen in the last elections.
Yeah.
Terrible meaning it was bad news that we reached such a state. Israel is always trying to up the... You see, the way it works is there's a Knesset. And in the Knesset, you get a certain amount of votes. And the person who has the majority of votes is essentially the leading party of the Knesset. But most people don't ever conquer a 51% of the Knesset. They get like a 20 or a 30, and then they need other people to join their groups in order so they can be in what's called the government. And then you have the opposition, which is everybody who's left over. They always try to up what they call in Hebrew achuz chasima, which is the minimum threshold. Because in Israel, it's not like America, where you have two parties and maybe two more or three more that never ever win. You have in Israel, the list is probably about 150 political parties. Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. And maybe
120 seats.
Yeah, for 120 seats. And it could be that about 120 of them don't even make it onto the Knesset list.
Well, some parties have just one person in it.
Some have one person. Some have no people.
So why do you have a party?
Because they still want, for
Believe
example,
me, it's no party.
there's a very right-wing party, in Israel, which is called the Green Leaf Party. And they are the Israeli marijuana party.
Oh.
And the reason they are very right-wing is because they believe They believe you need land in order to grow marijuana on it.
Mhm.
And they're not willing to give up land for peace because they need land for pot. This is the
So-
story. And it sounds funny, but this is the Jewish people in a nutshell. This is how we work all over the world. We can't agree like 2 people. We have to have 100 people that are running for the same position. So why am I telling you this story? Because they try to up the minimum threshold to get rid of all those parties that are just there to be rabble rousers or to get involved in things that they really shouldn't be getting involved in. You have a whole coalition. It's a majority of, and then the one person, you need his seat. But in order to give him his seat, you have to deal with his whole list of demands that you don't want to put up with. So they keep upping the minimum threshold. For the big parties, it's not a problem. For the small parties, it's a problem. Like for minorities, for example.
Oh, yeah.
The 2 minorities that run for the Knesset in Israel are the Arabs and the religious bloc, meaning the Jewish religious bloc. The Arabs had, I believe, 3 or 4 political parties before the last elections. And they represent different fragments that are fighting among themselves. Real fighting about who's going to control the Arab population and their votes. The religious party has the same problem. You have Agudat Israel, and you have Degel HaTorah. Haredi parties, one is Sephardic and one is Ashkenazi. And one in the Ashkenazi one is Hasidic and one is non-Hasidic. And in those you have the religious Zionist and you have the non-Zionist. And you have in the religious Zionist, you have the right-wing religious Zionist and the left-wing religious Zionist. And basically, we have Knessets where the biggest religious seat I think ever happened was about 18 seats. But then it went down to 11. And then the other parties had 3 seats, 2 seats, 4 seats. I mean, how many anti-Hasidic, Ashkenazi, ultra-Orthodox are voting in Israel to get a seat in the Knesset? It's a very, very small segment of the population. And so here's the problem. The problem is they had a projection of they're not going to get past the minimum threshold. And the Arabs are not going to get past the minimum threshold. So, in Israel, there's no law against joining together in order to pass the minimum threshold and then breaking up your parties after you get into the Knesset. So that's what the Arabs did. The Arabs made a united bloc. And they all agreed to sit together because their main goal is to get into the Knesset. And they could fight afterwards. But right now, they just need to secure their seats. They got together and they got into the Knesset. And the Orthodox groups, nobody was willing to sit with each other. Nobody. There was no
That's it.
united religious coalition going into the Knesset.
Yeah.
So to form a coalition to get the minimum seats, and they didn't want to.
And so you have parties that didn't make it in.
So they have no say.
And remember, a party that doesn't go in, it has more ramifications than what you think. A lot of the way Israel works are that certain seats are attached to certain schools and yeshivas and institutions that now lost their funding.
Wow.
Let alone lost their funding, what about all the campaign money that these people put into these campaigns? That now they have to pay people, but they don't have the government seat anymore from which to get money. And you have people that are broke, and then they go around collecting for money to pay back their loss in the last elections. You have worse. What do you have worse? If it wasn't a true story, I want to tell you. You have yeshivas that will say, "Oh, you voted for that renegade party. We're not accepting you into our yeshiva."
How do they know?
What?
Because people are very vocal in Israel about what they do and where they
So it's on
stand.
Facebook and
Yeah, they're putting it, whatever they're putting it out. They say, "Oh, we don't. You supported the people who are not funding our institution. You lost. Too bad for you. Make your own school." And what happens? The busha, the you're fighting
So
for
Torah learning becomes separate.
we all agree here that we're religious, yes? We all agree that we're Orthodox, yes? We all agree we believe in Hashem and the Torah, yes? So what do we disagree about? Which color kippah you should wear? What time Shachar should start? Okay, so get into the Knesset and then split up your block. But when you're not able to even do that, you find the Jewish people who's guilty of Azov ta'azov imo. We're not able to let go of what's in our heart in order to accomplish a greater good, which is important. Here, HaKadosh says, you see someone. We're not even willing to help, and it's our donkey. It's not even his donkey. It's our donkey, because the person who says Hashem says, whatever I give you, I'm going to give your enemy twice of. It's okay. Poke out my eye.
Yeah.
It's the only thing he's able to handle. Because if he gets a house, he'll get 2 houses. If he gets a car, he'll get 2 cars. He can't do it. So what does he need? Just poke my eye out. That way he'll lose both his eyes. And that's how we're in over and over and over again. HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah is there to teach you, where are your priorities? If you had, God forbid, an anti-Semitic threat in the city, you would hope that all the Jewish organizations, regardless of denominations, would sit down and work with each other, because, when the anti-Semites come to get us, they don't check which shul you belong to. They don't check your membership card. Yimach Shmo V'Zichron. Hitler didn't check. Were you a Reformed Jew or an Orthodox Jew, or do you go to Young Israel, or are you in a Sephardic community? They didn't check. A Jew is a Jew. So at that point, Jews have to get together and say, we might not agree. We're not going to make a joint prayer service because we'll have a problem about which prayers to use. But at least we should be able to sit down together to talk about how to deal with the threat. It's a problem. It's a big problem, and it's one that we're not fixing. We're so big on trying to fix everything else. What about our own communities? We're not there yet. We haven't solved the problems in our own backyard to go solve the problems of the whole country. And so for today, Rabbi Yonatan is telling us, sometimes in life, Hashem says, Azov ta'azov yimo. You need to help because the greater good needs you. You yourself, your problems, you'll work them out afterwards. Once you take a step off the donkey, and the donkey's back won't break, fight! But first help him unload his car. First help him, you see somebody on the side of the road. They say, what's the story? I don't know if the story is true, but it could be true. So there was once a guy on the side of the road in New York on the BQE, Bronx Queens Expressway. They see a guy standing on the side of the road with a big kippah, trying. His car had a flat tire. 3 cars pull over. Jewish guys get out to start helping him change his tire. They're fixing it. They finally get him back on the road. And they say, we would like to have you for dinner, Shabbat sometime. The guy says, sir, I don't know what a Shabbat dinner is. Look at him. They say, what the kippah. So, what do you know what a Shabbat dinner is? Where do you pray? He says, me, I pray at the named a church in Manhattan. He said, well, you're not Jewish? He says, no. So what are you doing with the kippah on your head? He said, my mother told me that if my car ever breaks down in New York, I should pull one of these out of the glove compartment, and somebody is going to stop and help me. We have, Baruch Hashem, a good name of Am Yisrael helping Am Yisrael.
He's well covered.
It's better than AAA. This is. And you laugh, but in New York, for example, they have something called Chaverim. Chaverim means friends. Like you have Hatzalah, which is an ambulance service, they're Jewish, and you have Shomrim, which is some kind of.
It's like vigilante. It's not vigilante. It's
they're
kind of
supposed to be like a Jewish
neighborhood
security patrol, but they unfortunately.
They've done other things.
Yeah.
They're on their own.
Jack reads the news. And then you have Chaverim. Chaverim are like the Jewish AAA. Imagine that someone is driving through New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland. Their car breaks down. They don't have AAA because they're driving some Kolal clunker. They got it at 300,000 miles. And it's barely pulling its weight. So what do? They have a battery that died. They have a wheel. You call Chaverim. And Chaverim will say they have a volunteer service of people, just houses, neighborhoods. They know how to fix tires. And they'll say, we have somebody not far from your exit, and he'll be by you in 20 minutes.
And they're qualified.
They come out, they change your tire, they put you back on the road, and if you want, you can make a donation to Chaverim, and they'll go back home.
It's nice.
It's an organization that's what they do. Are they qualified? I don't know, Dan. I'm not sure. They're not paramedics. The paramedics aren't worried if they're qualified, but these guys, they're good. In general, we have a good thing going for us, and when we don't use that good thing, that Am Yisrael, that is Avavim Zelazeh, that we care for each other, then it really doesn't look good for us. It doesn't do well for Am Yisrael to be so separate. You know me. I'm not a fan of fake unity, of let's pretend we all love each other. I'm not saying that. But at the very least, we can be civil and help each other in the things that we can help each other. It's not what's going to cost us.
They help so many ways in New York City.
I'm talking about San Diego. In New York, they help so many ways. Good. So somebody who's going to live in New York is lucky. Here in San Diego, we have to help each other also. What we'll learn from this story is sometimes you see your friend, you see an enemy, you see his donkey is broken, his car has a problem, his house is suffering financially, whatever it is that's happening. Make sure that you're the one who steps into the story and says, Azov Tazov. For this moment, I'm letting go of my problems and I'm going to be able to help.
Nobody's traveling with God.